This is Luke Bragg, co-founder of Profila, with another one of our Profila in Bite-Sized. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. No demos, no features today. We're going to kind of go back to the beginning a little bit. When we talk to folks, it's always hard when you're so deep in an idea and spent so long about it to try to explain it to someone else. And Profila is a big idea. We've had people tell us that. It's actually involves so much. It's not just a calculator that can be very easily thrown on the market. It's a big concept that requires a lot of heavy lifting in the background. And sometimes we forget or have a hard time explaining the basics of Profila. So we're going to do a little bit today, just some slides, keeping it simple, so no formatting. If you want formatting on slides, you can go someplace else. So let's start and see. Hopefully this is being shown. Okay. And we'll probably be 15, 20 minutes tops, depending on how verbose I feel today. The first thing is Profila. Okay, Profila, the pretty logo, the heart, that is the Swiss company, the legal entity here in Lucerne, Switzerland, and it means the web platform as well that users and brands will be using to actually access the platform. But Profila, lowercase, your Profila, that's your vault of personal data. At the Cardano Summit, I said that we will gauge our success when Profila is just a noun. It's just you talk about your Profila, and that means all the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about yourselves controlled by you, which really makes sense when you think of our tagline, it's you, it's yours. Your Profila is you, and it's yours, it's your property, it's your asset to share and license as you see fit, always for your benefit, whether it's your zero-party data or anything else. So that's how we're kind of talking about this in both now and in the future. You got Profila company, but then your Profila is something else, and that's something that is intrinsic to you. So let's look a little bit about what is in a Profila, both now and in the future, because I think that will help you understand a little bit about the power of what your Profila will enable you after we launch, after you've built up your Profila, after it's mature. Some of these things are things you do specifically in Profila, and other things are things you would link to your Profila, but always bringing it under the umbrella of your Profila to the point where only an idiot would want to buy third-party data about you that is unethically sourced, is incomplete and largely inaccurate, or maybe it was accurate a year ago but no longer today. There's no reason for anybody who would want that information that they're paying for now, that the platforms you use now are built on that data. Why would anyone care about that information when your Profila will be so valuable and so accurate and so up to date and so powerful for you to be able to share aspects of it in the future? So I've kind of divided this up just for my own edification into a couple different areas. The first is digital ID. And I've said in other streams that we don't want to be in the digital ID business in terms of making our own digital ID. That's not really something that's we care about a lot, because there's a lot of great companies out there creating IDs. And I think also it's because there's not going to be one winner. No one's going to create an ID that becomes the ID standard across the world. It's just too hard. Me personally, I've got one for Switzerland, I've got one for Holland, I've got one for the US, all to do with governmental services in those countries where I've lived, but I also have a Tala Prism one, and I imagine there'll be other ones in the future. So I'm going to have several, and I think my scenario is probably pretty indicative, if not even less than some other folks. But the digital ID, I like to think about, try to understand this in the simplest way as possible. It's the facts about your life. So if you think about the list we put up here, it's my legal name, it's my passport, any national IDs that I have, driver's licenses, things like that, can be part of one or several of those IDs that I have. And that's a key thing to think about, your digital IDs, and then the proofs that are inside of it, the certificates that prove something about me. Whether it's a history of employment, that a company has given me a certificate that proves I was employed at that company for a certain amount of time, or my residence permit here in Switzerland, again, a certificate that would be provided by the Swiss government. Again, biometric data, if there's a service that I can include my fingerprints, my retina scan, any kind of thing else in one of those digital IDs. Professional credentials, my university could give me a certificate saying what degrees I've had or what courses I've had. Health information, we all kind of went through the COVID issue where somebody had a specialized app that had your vaccination status, your booster status. All these things, financial information, also membership in clubs. A club could also give you a certificate. All of these things are useful now in a silo, but will be much more interesting in the future as we get to the point where somebody requires one specific piece of proof from me without either online or when I'm out in the world. How do I provide that? Now the digital ID apps will be great for that, but I may have parts of the story in different IDs. My US ID might have part of the story that someone needs, and my Swiss one may have other part of the story. So how do I keep that straight? In Profila, we call them bona fides. That's the overall feature that we're imagining, and the benefit is to aggregate all those things under one umbrella. And of course, those may be interesting for data subscriptions in the future. A brand may want to have some proof that I live in Switzerland, because that makes me a certain grade of customer for them as opposed to somebody else. So all these things, these facts about my life that I can, again, by bringing it into my Profila, I can parse out and share as I need. Second part is the wallets. Everybody's got wallets. And the usage of wallets confuses me even sometimes, because for me, a wallet has my facts of my life and my money as well. But in this case, it's crypto wallet. Same mentality. We don't want to create a wallet. We want to allow you to connect to any wallet that you can. Right now, our first one is with URI. Obviously, a very, very powerful and popular Cardano wallet. But we want to be wallet agnostic. We want people to be able to connect to any of their wallets, multiple wallets. Both to bring in Zeek to use on the platform, but also to cash out based on the data subscriptions, the revenue that you produce with your Profila, with brands. So again, these two areas are things that we don't want to get involved in directly in terms of making our own, because we love the partners we have, we love the things we've seen with other wallets and other digital IDs, but you should be able to bring those into your Profila and make it even more powerful, that all your digital IDs, all your wallets are under one umbrella, and again, is part of your Profila that you can parse out to brands, organizations, or even individuals that you trust. The third part is really where Profila got its start, because we were all about personal information and privacy, and that includes the basic details of your life, your gender, your name, your birthday, your phone number, your addresses. But also, and we'll be adding this in the future, is more kind of demographics, things like your sexual orientation and marital status. And the reason that we want to have, and we want to empower people to put that in your Profila, is because there may be some data relationships you have where that's essential information for the other party to put you in a more accurate segment. So if a clothing brand has a line of clothes for transgender men, that's an interesting thing for that audience. They should be able to put you in that segment and not obviously sell that kind of clothing to me. But also geographic information, socioeconomic, all these things allow someone, if you've shared it. So again, each of these aspects you would need to approve, to consent to share. When someone subscribes to your Profila, they're not subscribing to the whole thing, because nobody needs the whole thing. They want bits and pieces that help them create benefits for you. You should only be sharing when the benefits actually come directly from you. So cultural ethic things like what languages do you speak? And maybe that's certain brands want to communicate in a different language than English. They want to communicate in a language that you know. So all these things in personal information are, the metadata of your life. They describe you. They describe your current situation, which of course may change, but also allows more targeted and relevant communication from the brands and the organizations that you love and you trust. And when you get a data subscription offer from a brand, it will tell you exactly what information you need, and you can decide if you want to share that parts or not. And in the future, there'll be a lot more granular controls about exactly saying, okay, I accept this offer except for this piece of information. That's something we're passionate about enabling as a superpower for individuals. And we just need to figure out the right way because it complexifies the data model and such. The fourth part is the psychographics. I like to say it's what's in your head and what's in your heart. These are your sentiments, your preferences, your ambitions, your goals, all these different things. It's how you see the world, it's how you see yourself. It's the real nit gritty, if I use that phrase by nit and gritty information about yourself that actually describes who you are and how you go through the world on a variety of topics. These are some of the categories we have in the platform. In your Profila, you capture that through self-discovery quizzes that we've developed with AI, and we have a lot of dreams about what that will look like even in the future. It's answering questions about yourself. And those answers to your questions not only provide insights to you, but what kind of traveler you are, what's your fashion sense, or those sort of things, but also, again, provide a data subscriber, if they've subscribed to certain categories, with information that allows them to better serve you as a customer. Stop wasting your time with offers and experiences that are just not relevant for you based on what they've learned about you. And I would say it's not creepy because you've told them. You've consented to that data subscription. You trust this brand or organization, and you want them to have this information so they can use it for your benefit. And that's really one of the core parts of Profila. And this is data that brands can't get now. They can guess. Sometimes they guess well, but they can guess based on observed behavior or signals you've kind of given, but it's a poor guess. And I think we in the future, we will marvel at how poor the guessing was and what a inefficient, ineffective model it was for $1 trillion in advertising spend every year. The last part is, a lot of people call this first-party data. So it's the services I use that also produce data, but it's about me. And our vision in the future is that you can bring in, you should be able to synchronize. I always use Spotify as a good example. You can synchronize that behavior, which is based on actions and behavior. If I'm on Spotify, I'm listening to certain things, obviously for some reason, some self-interest. I'm creating playlists, I'm skipping songs. All that is data that right now you get as a year-end email. And people post them on Twitter and share them, whatever. But that data combined with your psychographics of what I've said I love about music, the genres I like, the artists I like, how I like to consume music, how I like to consume concerts and things, those two things together is now an incredible data source for all the companies that would care about that, whether it's concert venues or agencies or artists or whoever is in that industry and wants to really understand me as a customer, what I care about. Not only what I've said I care about, but also my behavior on a platform like Spotify. That's incredibly valuable. And so if you think about it, and I just kind of went through my head to think about the services that I use that produce information, that I produce information, that the service now holds, that I want to be able to integrate that in the future in my Profila to make it even more and more powerful. So when you sit back and think about what your Profila will actually be in the future, what a mature Profila looks like, and how it is just penetrating analysis of you, providing you insights as well, but also saying, okay, I no longer have to fill out a brand survey of what I like about them, or I no longer need to hope that the brands that would be interested in me as a customer and maybe that I don't know about, they can't find me now. The power of this is incredible. And the fact that this umbrella that you'll build, your Profila, and your ability to share it and license it, bit by bit, shades of it to anybody, it's simply how things are going to work in the future. And there'll be a lot of education about obviously protecting your Profila. We're passionate about the technology required to ensure that all of this is protected. Most of our back end is based on medical data, so that we figure solve the hardest problem and solve the easier problems. But this is, I said at the beginning, the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about you. And I think you can see from all this that is exactly true. your Profila, it'll be incredible. And this will simply expand. This will expand as we want to keep adding more and more things that you can capture if you want. Now, your Profila could be a very, very small percentage of this. You may decide that you never want to integrate first-party data. You may decide that there's only certain categories you want to complete surveys on, and maybe you don't even have a wallet or you don't have a digital ID. That's fine. We imagined all the different ways that Profila can be used for value, whether it's someone who just wants to have it for very, very simple purposes, or maybe just to assert privacy rights, or someone who says, okay, I trust this company enough. I want to have everything in this vault. I know in the future I can have it stored where I want, decentralized. This is powerful. This is really powerful, and you can see why I say that if Profila becomes a noun, that's what this is, what it represents. All this information, all these insights about you, with you in full control about how it is shared. The second part we're going to talk about a little bit today is, and I could have spent a lot more time on this. I made a very simple pass for this because the options are unlimited in the future. It's how you will use your Profila in the future. And I broke it into three categories: how you're going to use it on the Profila platform, how you're going to use it on the wider web or mobile device, and how you can use it in real life. So on the platform, you're managing your data relationships. And it's based on three principles: consent, transparency, and revocability. For every data relationship that you come into, where a brand says, we'd like to have access to your Profila, and here are the parts we'd like, you have to say yes. Until you say yes, they do not have access to your data. Later on in the relationship, you can easily go back to that brand in the platform and see exactly what you're sharing. And if you decide, you know what, this is too much, or I don't really enjoy the contents and the experiences of being shared, you can revoke that contract and they lose access to your Profila immediately. And we've all approved hundreds and thousands of cookies in our life. I don't know how to revoke a cookie consent. I'm sure you can, but I don't know how. But with Profila, it's very, very easy. You always know what data is being shared. You've consented to it, and you can revoke it as required. And the other part of the core of the MVP for Profila is the communication relationship with the brands you've let in the door. That now your feed, which looks like a social media feed, and that was very intentional, that we made it look like that, but it isn't. First of all, your feed is only the brands you let in the door. Your feed is chronological. It's not based on any kind of algorithm. There's no boosting. And it's based on the communication that a brand wants to provide to you based on the fact that they now know more about you and can avoid cluttering up your feed and just sending the most relevant information and offers that they can. You'll also be able to obviously manage your wallets and digital IDs. Right now, there's limited options what you can integrate, but our mentality is we want to keep expanding that. And the good thing is, if you're a wallet or a digital ID maker out there, you want integration. You're going to make integration with your wallet or digital ID very easy, and we're going to take advantage of that and make sure that you can incorporate the wallets or digital IDs that you wish in the future. Another thing you can do on the platform is you can assert your privacy rights. In Europe, we have GDPR, and we have a simple process on the platform where you can select a brand, select a right, and actually create the assertion, whether it's the right to be deleted or the right for information, and that becomes a legally binding smart contract based on the regulations built on Cardano, that the brand has 30 days to respond to that request. The last thing is the marketplace, which is not the current part of Profila, but we have it all sketched out. And this moves beyond the basic of Profila, which is you and the brands you love and the data and the relationships you have now. Marketplace is based saying, okay, I've got a mature Profila. I want to find new brands, new products, new services, new offerings based on who I am by building a anonymous persona. Let's say it includes my country, my age, my gender, and all of my travel insights, all my psychographic travel insights. Putting that in the marketplace and saying, I'm looking for companies that have specialty package tours for people like me, the way I like to travel, the pace, the length of trips, the activities, and control in a marketplace how many offers I'm getting per week. And I can create as many personas as I want. I can do one for fashion or one for sports or whatever that is, and say I'd like to be matched up with offers for companies that have those sort of things in an anonymous environment until I decide to engage with them, and then it can become a data relationship. Also, the idea, and we'll probably come up with a better name for this, but I always like to call it bundles. Bundles are taking the influencer model and really maturing it to something that's much more robust and much more like a real economy. So imagine anywhere from a Kim Kardashian to someone like me being able to create a bundle, which is their own content, but also content they curate to create a feed of, again, experiences, offers, whatever, that someone else can subscribe to. So if I have a bundle, let's say for Central Switzerland hiking, something I know a decent amount about, I can be bringing information from other sources and create a feed that other people can subscribe to in the marketplace. So you can have it, and you could actually match it up again, find bundles through your anonymous personas. Or Kim Kardashian could have a skincare bundle and a hair care bundle and all different bundles that involve her content and the content of the companies that are sponsoring her. And I may say, someone may say, I only care about the skincare one, not the hair care. That's a much more mature thing than now, where you follow someone on Instagram and it's one size fits all. Every message is for everybody, and the algorithm is kind of juking it along the way. Marketplace has 1,000 things that will go on that we can't even imagine now. We just understand it's the ability to, in a safe environment, smart matchmake with the things that may bring me joy. So that's the Profila platform. Now, how will your Profila help you on the web in general? And a lot of this is saying there's a lot of things that now are annoying will be less annoying once you integrate your Profila with other organizations. So for instance, the website you visit, let's say it's the Radisson Hotel website, or it's Airbnb, or it's Amazon. Imagine in your settings the ability to say, I want to link my Profila to this site, and provide whatever, figure out what information you actually want to share in that environment. And that website can then use that information, parts of your Profila, to give you a much more personalized experience. So my Profila, for instance, has a list of all the European capitals I've not been to that I want to go to. And I go to the Radisson site, maybe they have some special offers for a nice hotel in a capital I haven't been to. That site now knows more about me and can customize and personalize the experience that I want. Same thing with Airbnb. If it knows the kind of places I like to stay, the luxuries I assume that I want when I travel, it can help filter out properties that simply are not going to meet my demand. And right now, it's your job. You have to go through and add filters and know what you want or what your preferences are, instead of bringing your preferences with you in a safe environment. Same thing with streaming services. I use a lot of streaming services like Paramount Plus and Peacock, and obviously in those you get advertisements a couple times an hour in a show, and those advertisements, for me, it's an opportunity to look at my phone or take a rest or go to the bathroom or something, because they're not relevant for me. They don't know anything about me. But if I, again, in the settings, could link my Profila to Paramount Plus, that means that they would know enough to say, okay, well, we've got this ad catalog. Let's actually put ads in front of Luke that might be relevant for him. Think about how much that is better for the advertiser, for the platform, and for me. It's really simple. But these are kind of things that your Profila, when it's mature, will be so powerful to simply give the context to any situation that needs to be improved by making it more targeted toward you. Same thing with any kind of app used for fitness, for travel. Your Profila has so much information about you that will make those apps better as well. And it's just a question of what the technology, what the safety and the trust that will be required from those apps to integrate your Profila to improve things, again, for your benefit. And lastly, again, this is a very, very short list. We didn't want to give too much away, but your Profila goes with you, most likely on your mobile device. But if you think about all the ways that, again, that context, the context, your micro preferences or sentiment that travel with you and can be available on a moment's notice in a trusted environment, a trusted situation, how much that will improve things in life. The first example, I love this example. You go to a restaurant, let's say you go to a restaurant with a friend, and the menu's on a QR code, which is becoming more and more common here. When you open Profila and scan that QR code, it's doing a couple things. It's looking at the menu, but it's also looking at the self-discovery quizzes you've done on allergies or special diets you have to use. Let's say you're vegetarian, or you have a nut allergy, or you're allergic to shellfish, whatever that is. It's cross-referencing the restaurant's menu with actually what you can eat. Anybody who has any kind of food allergies knows they have to figure out, when they go to a restaurant, they have to figure out the code system. And it's not always accurate. But if I'm sitting next to a friend and we both scan the codes, I get a different menu than the other person because it's integrating what it knows about me, cross-referencing with the menu, and giving me a menu, a custom menu, personalized menu of what I can actually eat at that restaurant. And the person next to me has a different menu because they've got different things. So it's a very simple example that shows the power, where now you've got to think about these sort of things. You've got to ask questions about it. Is there nuts in this? Is there cream in this? Whatever, as opposed to a much smarter way. And in that situation, the data never actually leaves the device. When I moved to Switzerland, I had my DevonThink app, which had all my documentation that was needed, and I was going around to all of the different offices here to get stamps or get approvals or whatever, and I would be able to show documents. Well, in the future, KYC, know your customer, any kind of validation you need can be on your phone because it's part of your digital ID, it's part of your wallet, it's part of your Profila. You can prove who you are, prove your credentials, prove your bona fides in real time just from your device. Geomarketing, which is something that's been around for a long time, but I don't think it's left the creepy factor yet. But the idea that if I have a signal, a want or a need, and I'm downtown and it matches with something that a brand is doing, I can be informed of a special, of a low inventory on something, or something that I want, something that I need. And it's not creepy because I've enabled that kind of marketing to me in a geo-fenced environment. And you also get into things that are so sensitive that's when Profila solving them solves a lot of problems for others. Clinical trial recruitment is very, very expensive for companies to find the patients they need. But imagine if you had a persona in the marketplace that had your chronic diseases on it, again, in a super protected way, completely anonymous. A pharma company could be looking for a certain number of people in Switzerland that have that disease and can pay you much, much more than you can possibly imagine, but much less than they would normally have to do to recruit you. And then that is another data relationship. So that kind of things where you can offer yourself up to different research projects, not just medical or genetic, but any kind of research projects where you represent the data points and your metadata represents the data points on that as well. And lastly, any retail experience. Imagine you walk into a store that you walk in a lot, scan your phone, and it knows who you are because you've got a data relationship already. It knows what you want, it knows what you like, and it gives you an instant coupon for that store visit. Whether it's an electronics store or a fashion store, you can imagine all the different ways that shops will be able to use this. Say someone walks in the door, now we know the context of who they are and what they want. Let's give them a special offer. Let's give them a special experience. Let's give them some sort of loyalty features and benefits that improve that relationship. That's gold for a retail experience to do that. So again, these are some very, very simple, straightforward examples of how your Profila will be used both in the platform, on the wider web and mobile as you go through things and streaming devices, and also in the real world. It is the most accurate, authentic, and valuable information about you that is incredibly valuable, incredibly wanted, incredibly lacking in today's marketing world. But once you have that Profila, and we win, and Profila becomes a noun, so many experiences, both in the platform and outside the platform, will be made easier because we've solved for trust, we've solved for zero-party data, we've solved for the integration of digital IDs and wallets, and we've solved for psychographics that make you want to complete the quizzes and surveys and questions. So I hope this helped a little bit in understanding the scope and the ambition of Profila, where we are now and where we want to go. There are many more use cases we can imagine, so we didn't want to give everything away today. But it's an ambitious mission that we're on. We're proud to be building it at Cardano, because Cardano has the same mindset of empowering individuals and decentralization. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this stream. Happy to hear any comments before or after, and we'll probably expand this as we go and maybe talk about specific use cases and how they're going to be just awesome and how they'll be empowered by your Profila. And that's a key thing that we talk about a lot, is that because that level of trust, that level of protection doesn't exist now, there's a lot of things we or no one else can even imagine until that trust is built. Profila is a relationship platform, and we know that as we grow, as we start winning, as everybody starts winning in this world, there will be new relationship types that will emerge that don't exist now because they can't, because there's not the trust, there's not the technology that you can trust, there's not the kind of companies like Profila that have a very specific mission that you can trust, and the smart contracts that say to a brand, this is what you can do with my information, and there's what you can't, that kind of trust. Those things will enable things that we can't imagine now, and we're looking forward to hearing those ideas from individuals, having them ourselves, and mapping them out to give people more and more superpowers as we go on. Anyway, so that's the end of our session today. It went longer than I thought. I guess I can talk about Profila a little bit. I hope that you have a better understanding of Profila now than you did at the beginning of this half hour. I hope you enjoyed the dynamic styling of the slides, but I wanted to keep it simple because Profila at its base is simple. It's you,